Good afternoon, everybody. Just doing a little quick update. Won't be before you long. Um, if you watched the market this morning during the opening bell around 9:30, all the stocks were up. Um, the the futures market had the Dow Jones up, had the Nasdaq up, had the S&P 500 up, and it was a continuance from what was going on yesterday. But now things have changed. Now that it's midday, things have changed. And let's check out that change. Stocks cut gains as tech shares decline. China tensions rise. Secretary of State said Hong Kong is no longer autonomous from China, rising the specter of heightened heightened tensions because of U.S. and China. Um, that's kind of like two people, two people that are rivals that are not so friendly, but then uh, one of them has a brother or a cousin that's that's friends with the person that you dislike. That's how I explain this relationship. So even though that the U.S. and China has this back and forth going on, even in their back and forth game, Hong Kong is like, you know what? But we still cool, right? It's kind of messed up, but that's how I look at it. So a little bit more news today. So this was from this morning. Dow Jones slashes 350-point gain. This was about an hour ago, and I was gonna go over Tesla because Tesla trying to get they comeback in the game with the economy opening up a little bit more each day. They cut their prices, and Warren Buffett stock surges 28% on earnings. That's the Berkshire Hathaway, and we'll take a look at that today as well. Wall Street, they started doing live day trades on Wall Street again, and that is what caused the surge for the stocks to go up yesterday. Now not so much. We go back up to the top. The S&P 500 is still up 12 and a half points. It's not up by much, but it is up 12 and a half points, or 0.42%. That's almost a half of a percentage being up. The Dow Jones is up 269 points, or 1%. The Nasdaq took a dip down, and they're now uh, down 45.5%. So the Nasdaq is down, but the S&P and the Dow is barely up. Let's look at some more news. Why is the stock market up? By some estimate, nearly 1 in 4 Americans is out of work, and steady streams of bankruptcy has begun, both out loud and quietly, both out loud and quietly, and many businesses have shuttered for they've been shuttering for relief. I talked about this the other day, um, with the climb of unemployment and the the some businesses not coming back from the pandemic. Um, that the way that the economy looks, it looks like it should not be as good as it is. And saying that, should we still invest in the stock market? I hate to say it, but the stock market is not going anywhere anytime soon until at least until doomsday happens. If doomsday happens, like uh, like we see in Mad Max or the Book of Eli, where we have to get rid of all of our devices and go back to living off the land. Um, yeah, this market is still going to be. And if you notice, there are a lot of um, people with a lot of money that are trying to point us in directions in which way we should go when it comes to putting the money that we have left. Where should we put it? Some are saying put it in gold. Some are saying put it in oil. Some are saying put it in other resources. Um, just just do your homework. If someone wants you to put money in a specific place, just see how much does it benefit them where you put your money, or if they're coming from a generous place and just want you to be safe, you know, take heed. So coronavirus doesn't have to be so deadly. Just look at Hong Kong and Singapore. So Hong Kong is doing pretty good, and Singapore is doing pretty good when it comes to their fatality rate. But you know what? Deaths are still deaths. So bank stocks are getting cheaper. I also read an article where hedge fund holders are taking the money out of their current businesses that they're holding, and they're starting to put it in um, bank stocks or treasury bonds, uh, or buying bonds with the bank, even though that they would have a decline or a negative result in putting money in a bank bond. Um, but these companies, these analysts, they analyze that they would either way they're going to lose money, but they would lose less money if they would buy bank bonds than continue to invest in the stock market. But we know how it works. You take your money out, you put it best where you think it will have more traction, produce more, and when it doesn't and everything looks good in good soil, you take the seeds that you have left and you put it back in that soil and hope something will grow. So, like I always said, slow money is still money. It all still spins. So that's the reason why the the stock market is the reason why the stock market is performing outperforming the economy is because of the hope of everything returning back to the way it was. And by by analyzing what's going on and how things are, we should be like in another major crash right about now because it's just too many jobs that are lost. And with us as a country, how we're ran off of credit, we really rely on the credit system here in the country. Um, we're going to find ourselves um, in way more deeper debt than we expected. And it's sad to say, but politics has a place to play in everything that's going on because the amount of debt that we take on, it's also going to be on the burden of the next politician that are voted in to deal with the budget to get rid of some of this debt. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with today. I used to have some stock in NIO. Was upgraded ahead of earnings. Here is what this means for Tesla. They're not nearly as big as Tesla. Tesla is at 800 and $800 a share. This company right here deals with the parts that are needed for the tech companies to put inside of automobiles. And they're actually up. I think I had them when they were hovering around $5 a share. It was a while ago though. So yeah, Tesla, they cut their prices down to 6% in North America following the decline of the auto demand in the region, and they cut their prices in hopes that um, people would come back and start to buy vehicles again. But with the employment rate being so high, who can afford to buy vehicles? No one. Not right now. Well, a lot of people can, but a lot of people cannot. AT&T is up 3.5%. Amazon just went down 1.5%. And this is based on the information of HBO Max leaves AT&T or DirecTV, and it's starting to venture out on its own as a streaming platform. A lot of analysts think that they're late in the game to do this, but they seem to have painted a picture to be right on time. It's kind of like a business partnership breaking away to see how you're going to stand out on your own. We know that HBO they have enough. HBO has enough um, good reputation to stand out on their own, and they actually have enough shows to pump out there to be relevant to today's time because of the great pause that has gone on. They won't be that behind with the pause because no one is acting right now. No one is filming right now unless they're doing something privately in their properties. But there's no mass production going on right now when it comes to to movies, TV, TV shows. There's just no acting going on right now. So they feel it's the right time to break out on their own as a streaming service. And I want to know how it's going to play out. Since then, AT&T has been up 3.5%. Out of most of my watch list, AT&T is one of the ones that are green right now. Of course, we got the ETFs that are green because they're starting to head above their line, their perforated line we talked about yesterday. And looks like we have pharmaceutical and financial companies that are up right now, along with AT&T. AT&T is the only I wouldn't call them tech. I would call them multi-communication that is up right now. And Disney is surprisingly up. I read this morning that they are implementing plans to open Disneyland, Disney World spaces, and still have an order of social distancing. So Disney World is to reopen gradually starting July the 11th. They're putting in these implementations right now, so at least families could go have a place to spend time together. Of course, the problem is going to be that spend funds, but we don't know if they're going to have the funds to spend. Um, Another thing I read this morning, or I seen this morning on CNBC, was a lot of apparel fragrance brands they were up during the futures market. Brands like L brand and Cal brand, they were up this morning, um, and I think that was due to they was about to have a reading, earnings reading, so they were up. Trump lashes out at Twitter, threatens to shut social media sites. I don't know about Trump shutting down social media sites because that's where he talks the most. So I don't know. I don't know how that would work out. Instagram will help its star make more money taking on YouTube. We know when it comes to streaming video content and photos, um, for the longest time, YouTube has been the king. And I think since a lot of big names are starting to find other deals to go away from YouTube, they're starting to do just that, especially content creators. And with the surge of Spotify and the deals that they're making, they're also getting the eyebrows raised of other platforms like Instagram. Now we already see shows and podcasts on Instagram as it is. We see them in short, but I think they're going to start to make a space that's specifically for that to take on YouTube to drive all that traffic away from YouTube. So, another big news: GE, General Electric. After 140 years, GE sells off Thomas Edison's light bulb. I would like to say Thomas Edison's patent of the light bulb. I'll say that because me learning and reading things about Thomas Edison, it's a lot of things that he was a hustler, uh, and he had parts of some inventions, but what he really was the king of, he was the king of owning the patent to a lot of inventions that other people made. So The light bulb is one of those inventions. So, yeah, the great patent holder. So, before I get up out of here, look at the ETFs again. ETFs, spies hovering around 300 a share. Um, these Vanguard ETFs, they're still above about a half of a percentage. Um, while you're out, please be safe. Please, 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 please be safe. Care for the ones that you love. Love the ones that you care about. You see somebody in danger and in harm's way, please don't just record it. I know, I know, showing evidence is a driving key right now, but if you have the ability to stop it, just so everyone could be safe, including yourself, just care. I'm headed out. Y'all be safe. Peace. God bless you. Love you. All that.